Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Since February 15th of 2020, we have seen some of the best racing action you could ask for. 11 incredible seasons, but tonight we start a brand new. It's season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series, starting with a brand new car, and we're back in the old 08 generated Daytona International Speedway. We're excited for all the incredible racing. We're excited for how this season's gonna go down, and we're here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting are proud to give you all the coverage of season 12. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me this evening and for this season is Richard Wolsifer. And Richard, we just came off of a season where Gavin Rogers finally, after working so hard, can say he is a champion and joining the ranks of some of the best from the WSSR Cup Series. But tonight, it's the start of a brand new season. Will it be Gavin, or could it be someone else to watch out here for the start of season 12?
Yeah, excited to be back up here in the booth with you, Sam, for season 12 here in the WSSR Cup Series. Gavin Rogers finally able to get it done last season by the most dramatic of fashions. 1 point. He was able to take the championship and be a champion in the WSSR Cup Series. So congratulations to him. But like you said, it's a new time here in the WSSR. We're here at the 08 Daytona, a very characteristic type track. It's very bumpy, very rough, old surface of Daytona. These drivers are going to have a lot in their hands, especially with the Gen 4 Cup car.
Gen 4 Cup car, brand new vehicle. We attempted what iRacing called a mistake back in season 8 and 9 when we tested out the ARCA machines that have the Gen 4 engine. Well, iRacing has now given us the full package of the Gen 4 car for its regular circuit and its super speedway package build. We're excited for it this evening, as with this new vehicle and the 08 track that we're racing on, like Richard said, it's going to be very bumpy here tonight. Drivers are a little bit worried by that, but here are some of the other fun numbers that we have. We got 8 rookies entering into the season. We're going to have a 12-race regular season, and then we will find ourselves with 6 races in the chase to see who will hoist the season 12 championship. And we're excited to see 9 teams have registered up, which I think the team factor is going to be a key factor of tonight's race. With it being super speedway racing, drivers trying to align with one another, going to be all the watch and see of who can be the favorite. And with all the changes, we've got a lot of drivers changing up their numbers, with also some of the new names that are joining us. We want to hope that you give us some graces of trying to remember drivers on their old numbers to name. Sometimes we get used to those packages being together. We've got some changes in that way. One of those being Gavin Rogers, continuing the new trend of if you are the past champion, you have the right to change your number to the number 1 in the next season. Rogers has taken that opportunity to be the number 1. Now for Zach Hall, when he took the number 1 and started this trend, his next season he didn't win the championship. John Forbes took a swing at it, ultimately didn't take the championship either. Rogers trying to be the 3rd driver to see if he could break that championship curse of taking the 1 machine. As well, joining with a brand new team, he will be a part of Lucky Duck Motorsports Team 1, which will be having the rookie of Jake Nichols. Also will be joining with them is Jarrett Talmadge and 2 seasons ago champion of John Forbes. Lucky Ducks will also be fielding a complete 2nd team of Ben Kinney, Brian Noel, Douglas Newbegin, and Thomas Green. That will be the big team, I think, here tonight to watch out for. 8 drivers aligned with one another. But how well will the teamwork be there? Because we saw last season, Lucky Ducks had a little bit of trouble with the teamwork helping drivers go for a championship push.
Yeah, they had a little bit of struggle trying to go for that championship push, and ultimately Gavin able to take it. But Gavin joining the team in the ranks of Lucky Duck Motorsports, I think that is huge news to hear about. And I think that team is going to be basically unstoppable as long as they all can work together and make the right strategy calls and don't take each other out. That should be a team worth watching.
Certainly will be. There's, again, also another 7 other teams that we'll be giving notes to. But first, let's get prepared for qualifying. Drivers have the opportunity to go out there and set their fastest time. Some will decide to start in the back. Some will want to be up front as quick as possible. And here tonight, drivers are given 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap. But a change with qualifying, they only get 1 lap to do it. Richard, they got to be quick on this first lap because they don't have a second one for redemption.
Wow, that is definitely a very interesting change for these guys coming with only 1 lap. So yeah, they're going to have to build up all the speed they possibly can on their out lap. So they're going to build up speed here, basically full throttle all the way on that apron, keep that car nice and steady straight, get on the backstretch, move that car to the top line. You want to get that momentum from the top line through 3 and 4. And that's when they're going to want to drop to about the bottom side of the track to get the shortest and quickest way around the track. So it's going to be interesting to see which driver is going to be able to master that technique with these cars on this old bumpy surface.
All drivers trying to get that pole time, be on the best starting position for our Lucky Duck Motorsports starting grid. Who will find it? One of the drivers that's found their way on to grabbing a pole here in the past. Back in season 8, when we started racing ARCA cars for just 2 seasons, it was Ross Tatum that took the pole that last go around. Can he find the speed? You can already see the bumps all the way up there are so aggressive, but the 21 starting high, expecting to drop low, and here we go for the 21 machine. How much pace will ultimately be underneath this Ross Tatum machine and a lot of other drivers that are out there on this 1 lap? It's going to be a quick turnaround. You're going to see this ticker board just explode in the next few seconds of who can take the fastest time. A lot of eyes would be on Cody Reed. He's been one of the faster drivers to take the pole at super speedways, but the last 2 times we've been here at Daytona, Larry Yingling took the pole time for himself. Can he make it 3 in a row? Well, here we go. Times are clicking in, and first driver on top of the board is going to be Joshua Kanata, 51.363. It's the fastest time so far, as already 9 drivers make it 10. Kanata still stands, but there's still over 20 more drivers to go to see who can top the 16 machine. But for now, it's still Joshua Kanata top of the board.
Yeah, fantastic lap coming in from Joshua Kanata, still able to hold that pole position. Definitely unexpected to see him up top, but he's able to get that 1 lap speed out of the 15 that have completed, 17 that have completed. Brian McCann now jumps to the top of the board with a 51.356. So a fantastic lap from Brian McCann.
Brian McCann, can he hold this time? Larry Yingling, who's trying to go for 3 in a row in the polls here at Daytona. Can he get it done for himself? Gavin Rogers, last season's champion, rocking the number 1 on the side. He is very proud of this scheme, as all Lucky Duck Motorsport drivers coming away with schemes on. We just saw on the chat being placed, also partnered up with Gridless Graphics on getting some of these schemes prepared for themselves. Larry Yingling, though, does complete his lap. It is not quick enough for the pole. It's 10th place for the 67. Does Gavin Rogers have a little bit of magic here, as we still have about 10 drivers that are still yet to finish out their qualifying times? Down to the apron is the 1, and it looks to be shy, but Brian McCann still holds strong with a 51.356, 7/1000ths of a second faster than Joshua Kanata. Ryan Kelly will be coming up shy, but Cody Reed, like we said, a driver to watch out for. He finds the pace and tops the board here so far.
Yeah, Cody Reed has got some steady hands here at this track, was able to wrestle that car over the bumps and takes the top by, 8/1000ths of a second over Brian McCann. You can tell these times are very, very close, but still got a few cars on track. Got Jarrett Talmadge here to ride along with him. We'll see if he can top the board, top Cody Reed as he comes off turn 4 into the trial on the front stretch. He's going to go down to the apron, try to cut off as much time as he can as he crosses the line. The 27.
Well, that's a good line, and it's good.
I mean, it is. That's top of the board.
With the 51.335 for Jarrett Talmadge. Trying to go for that pole time for himself, but Zach Hall denies him late with less than 30 seconds left in qualifying. The 32 machine finding the time as our season 10 champion. What a lap by Zach Hall, a 51.318. There's no one else out there on time. Your pole sitter for season 12, race 1, goes to the 32 machine of Zach Hall. Richard, wow, what a steal there at the end.
Impressive work from Zachary Hall, and that is going to start his season off on the right foot with such a struggle he's had the past couple of seasons. This has got to be the right momentum he's looking forward to in season 12.
our top 16 all within a tenth of one another. Before Hall's time clocked in, it was our top 21 drivers were all within a tenth of each other. Not the case anymore. Well, here is going to be our warm-up session. Normally we would look at our point standings and then we would look at the schedule, and ultimately we're just going to do a breakdown of how this season, and say thank you to some of our sponsors. We will bring up our schedule though and take a look at how this season is ultimately going to be stacking up for us here tonight. Starting things off here at Daytona 08, we continue on with legacy courses as we'll head to Atlanta 08 for race number 2. Then we head to the newer configuration of Phoenix before we have a 2-week break for the holidays. We'll be back for December 3rd for Kansas. Sonoma, excited to see Sonoma back out there on the course. Darlington, but before we have another holiday break for Christmas and New Year's. And we'll be back for race number 7 at the Milwaukee Mile, Michigan, Indianapolis. Then testing our skills out, road course racing on the brand new Mexico City road course. Then we have Rockingham and finishing out the regular season at Talladega before we've got our 6 races for the chase. But that regular season, there are a lot of technical tracks that this field is got to be prepared for.
Yeah, I think some of the bigger ones that they've got to be prepared for in this Gen 4, because again, this car's got a lot of power and very little rear grip. I mean, the Milwaukee Mile is going to be a very exciting race to watch, very flat 1-mile track. And then you also have the new Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez National Speedway. That is going to be a fantastic race to watch, to see what these guys can do with these Gen 4 cars on a road course, and not just any road course, but an international one. So that's going to be a really fun race to watch.
Then those final 6 races being New Hampshire Auto Club, Texas 09, as well as Charlotte, going to be North Wilkesboro, and finishing out the season at Homestead like we've done the last few seasons. Exciting to see how season 12 will line up for this field. We're already starting to see some shockers to start out this season. As some shockers to watch out for, well, here are some of our pick'ems, drivers that we feel like are those to watch out for, that we feel like are either going to be drivers for storyline picks or who we feel like is going to win here tonight. And I'm going with a driver who I expect to watch out to win here this evening. Watch out for the 15 of Vincent Sora. I think this is a whole season watch out. This 15 machine is looking for a championship. He's already got 2 for himself back in season 4 and 5. But last season, he thought he had a chance for the championship. It just ultimately didn't line up for himself. I think this is the season for the 15 to go for number 3 to tie Larry Yingling in the most championships earned in this series. But he's first has to start things off right and watch out for that 15 of Vincent Sora. Richard, who do you have as your pick'em of a driver to watch out for here tonight?
You know, I picked him before qualifying, and he's on top of the board in the poll. Zachary Hall looking for a rebound season for himself. He struggled the past couple of seasons, you know, with either just on-track performance or getting involved in some wrecks, but he's starting off this season on the right foot, grabs the pole position for this season opener here at Daytona. I think Zach Hall can get it done tonight.
And our third member of our crew who gives us all the fun graphics and gives all the buttons, that's Robert Moyer Jr., who will also tag along with you on that pick of Zach Hall. Obviously a driver that won this championship back in season 10, hoping for a little bit of redemption here in season 12. Well, those are some of our pick'ems, and this is the opening race of the season, and we've got some drivers that may be favorites to watch out for openers. Now, Daytona is not always the opening race for each and every season, but there are 2 drivers that know how to get it done early on to start a season off right. Cedric Hunter and Brian P. Johnson. Both drivers have won an opening race 3 times in their career here in the WSSR. Last time that Brian P. Johnson won was back in the season 8 when they were running here on this track on the 08 configuration to Daytona in the ARCA car. And Cedric Hunter, his last opening race win was season 9, and that was back when they were running the Atlanta Superspeedway race that we've ran the last 3 seasons. We'll see if either one of those drivers can get their 4th opening race win for the WSSR Cup Series, or could someone else try to outshine them as warm-ups is coming to a close. We want to say thank you to our amazing sponsors. First and foremost, thank you to Elwood Designs for partnering up with the WSSR Cup Series, being the primary sponsor for Season 12. We also want to say thank you to our grid sponsor, being Lucky Duck Motorsports. On top of that, we want to say thank you to our white flag sponsor, Sim Precision Prints, and returning sponsors of GTR Simulators and Trophy Smack. Thank you to everyone that's joining with us to start out a brand new season for Season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. We got a couple of people already out there in the chat excited for how they will run here tonight. Cody Reed has already put in the chat saying, wow, no Cody Reed pick. What the heck? Well, Cody, last time we picked you, you got yourself wrecked out. We're trying to give you a little bit of luck to help you out here tonight. And speaking about luck, let's take a look at our Lucky Ducks Motorsports starting grid. Taking the poll here this evening to start out the season strong, it's Zach Hall in the 32. Jared Talmadge will be to his outside for the front row in the 27. Third place, we find Cody Reed in the 25, as he's not unhappy that we didn't pick him, but we'll see how well he can run here tonight. Brian McCann will be coming out in fourth place to start tonight. Joshua Kanata, great qualifying time in fifth. Ryan Kelly will qualify in sixth. Watch out for that 3. He could be a sneaky driver all throughout this season. Cedric Hunter trying to go for his 4th opening win in his career here in the WSSR. Can that happen? He has to start 7th here tonight. One of the favorite rookies that can really go for a championship run, Jake Nichols, starts in 8th place in 73 with Vincent Sora in 9th place. And finishing out our top 10, another rookie joining the fray in the number 35 machine of Danny Ware.
Starting back in 11th will be the 98 machine of Ben Keeney, into his outside the number 33 of Isaac Reimer starting 12th. Gavin Rogers, last season's champion in the number 1 machine, starting back in the 13th position, and Brian Noel in the 00 back in the 14th. Samuel Garcia returning back starting in the 15th in the number 50 machine, with Ali Fonseca to his outside starting in 16th position in the number 24. Larry Yingling back in racing, ready to be, try his chance at another championship, starting back in the 17th position, with Thomas Green to his outside in 18th in the number 31 machine. And then Ross Tatum and Alan J. Elwood rounding out the top 20, starting in 19th and 20 respectively.
In 21st, it's the driver who has to start at the end of the line. A penalty carrying over for himself. It's the 28 of Brian P. Johnson. He is well trying to go for his 4th career opening race win. We'll see if we can get it done here tonight. With another rookie joining us, that's going to be Jan van Leer in the number, is going to be starting in the 22nd position in the number 10. John Forbes, no longer the 1. He now moves over to the number 7 for season 12 in 23rd position. Shane Darian typing in. He's ready to be involved in a wreck. We'll see if the 9 can survive tonight. He'll start in 24th. Matt Muir will start in 25th, with Douglas Newbiggy down in 26th position. In 27th, it's the 22, another brand new driver joining with us, of Jordan Barambir. Barabee, to watch out for in 22. Chuck Sweeting making his grand return, as he's been away for quite a while from the WSSR, except for the 57 on how well he's grown throughout his career away from the series. With Chris Stitz in 29th. 30th is Ethan Smith, and finishing out our final couple of drivers, GT Rosari in 31st, with Curtis Preston in 32nd, Kyle Rochelle in 33rd, Travis Everett in 34th, and Danny Cochran being our 35th driver here tonight. Excited for tonight's race. 90 laps, no stage break, no fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. Richard, what are you expecting for these drivers in the early going of tonight's race?
I feel we're going to see what we've seen in the late 90s, early 2000s NASCAR racing. These guys are going to try to get in line and try to save these cars for the end of the race, because with no stage break, no fast repairs, you don't really have time to get that car repaired to get back out on track. So keeping that car, keeping your nose nice and clean, that'll make sure that you're there at the end to make the move for your chance to win the opening race.
35 drivers have registered for tonight's race. 35 enter, but only 1 will take away the victory here tonight. The last time we were in a Gen 4 variant vehicle on this track, it was a 3-wide finish that Brian P. Johnson ultimately took the victory. Here tonight, we're now on the newly Gen 4 car that is officially a staple now of iRacing. We're still on the bumpy 08 course, and for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs, let Season 12 begin as green flag is out of the air. Zach Hall, Jared Talmadge already roaring up to speed. Who will help them? Can you survive? The drivers have said it is a loose and handful this evening. Now let's see how 30-plus drivers can survive an attack as we take off and go down into turn number 1. Richard, they're 2x2, and we'll see how long that wants to last for.
34 drivers on this track, screaming around Daytona National Speedway, these old style NASCAR cars. Great showing so far. They are still too wide, but doing a great job. Everyone seems to be giving themselves some space, because even though this is the super speedway package that they have given us for these Gen 4 cars, getting up on the bumper isn't necessarily still the best. You can still get that nose right underneath the rear bumper and get them extremely loose and spin them out. So a lot of care is being taken for these guys as they're able to come around turn 4 into the tri-oval to finish lap 1. And the leader will be Jake Nichols, leading the first lap of season 12.
Jared Talmadge looking good for that 27 machine. He is one of the drivers that's our favorite to watch out for this season. He is so strong, and that has been the rumblings over all the off seasons, all the trials of this series. As staying high, driving backwards, going to be seeing the double zero Brian Noel getting shuffled into the outside wall. He's got to get up to speed quickly because he is almost 10 miles per hour slower than the field, and if he loses the draft, he will be on his lonesome, and it will take about 10 laps for him to drop out from being grouped up. He's almost completely lost the grouping. Ethan Smith's trying to back off just slightly to give the arrow help, but I don't think this double zero is getting up to speed in time. He is still too slow to be gaining up, and just like that, in the blink of an eye, our first driver has lost the lead pack in the first 2 laps. As Jared Talmadge, he was the favorite last season on super speedways. He dominated that realm. He was always up front. He won here at Daytona and back in 2010, but he would seem to be winning at every single track we were going to that was super speedway typed. Now, over the off season, they were doing some testing with this vehicle at multiple different tracks. The 27 was always the fastest, the most consistent, had the least tire wear. The 27, if you talk to a lot of drivers, probably would be your ultimate favorite for the championship if there's no big updates, but there's been rumblings. Could be a big Gen 4 update after our New Year's break that these drivers have around race 6.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how these drivers, including Jared Talmadge, of how they're going to adjust with this, potential update with these cars. We've seen it before. We've seen the next gens go through phases in the middle of a season where, a couple of drivers might be dominating, that a huge update comes to the cars, and then the complete shift of power happens. Other drivers become a lot faster and a little bit better with how the car handles, and it kind of fit into their play style and their racing style. So it's going to be interesting to see that if this big update for the Gen 4 cars comes through, who will be the top of the board each and every single race, as they're doing exactly what we thought they were going to do, all trying to get up to that outside line and drive in a single file line. But that inside line is doing everything they can to try to get back up to the front and keep up with this outside.
Trying to get ramped up to speed. Cody Reed in the 25, getting some help from the 98 of Ben Kenny, as well as the one of Gavin Rogers, just trying to woo their way forward. As looking at some of the other drivers that are entering into this season, our rookie of Isaac Reimer. Now, we've seen Isaac running on our Monday nights Trinity Racing League that we cover here on Freaky Towns Broadcasting. Excited to see what some of the rookies that are attempting their first go-around in this series. We've got Danny Ware's rookie, Isaac Reimer. We've got ourselves Jordan Barabee, who's going to be it's going to be Ware. Big shuffle and saved by the 35. Still down on the apron. We continue to stay green for now, but trouble even deeper in the field as drivers, about 3 of them are scattered. Now make it 4 as Danny Cochran in the 2 machine, as well as Alan Elwood, Kyle Rochelle, Chuck Sweeting, all around, and yellow flag is out. What a bizarre quick snap for this field.
Yeah, I think that wreck actually started about middle of the backstretch before we saw this driver, get a little loose there on the turn. But yeah, first caution a few laps into the race here. It's going to be, we're going to have to see what caused that, though. I think it was just a small spin in the back stretch. There it is right there.
Big grouping of drivers around the 5 machine. As there's drivers piling in late. Chuck Sweeting just not able to find an opening. He just piles right into that chaos. But the 5 machine of Alan Elwood was the driver who got the bad bump that really started all of this chaos, as drivers were running into one another and just continued to ricochet around. Here's going to be a look at it as everyone's getting in line, and just a bad quarter panel tap, and away goes the 5 and other drivers piling in.
Yeah, it's just a bad tap on the backstretch there to the number 5 machine, and just sent him around. It's something they're going to have to let. There's a car flipping on the backstretch there.
Also, Danny Cochran.
huge hit for Danny Cochran, sends his car airborne, flipping end over end. We'll to see what happened here as well. As we saw here, the number 12 gets up, tries to get behind the number 5, and it looks like just a late decision. Just kind of gets a bad push on that left rear quarter panel and up over the hood of the 10, but he gets back on the ground. It's just a 57 coming in, not really being able to slow down or anywhere to go. And Danny Cochran for a wild ride into turn 3.
Yeah, I mean, Danny's just trying his best. That's the 12 Kyle Rochelle that went in with the bad bump. But here's going to be a ride along. If you have motion sickness, might want to look away. But in the mirror, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out where Chuck thought he was going. Now, I understand that the 12 and the 2 might have been drifting down, but there was no caution thrown until after this contact and then the bizarre wrecking happening around. Like I said, I think bizarre is the only right word to say. Wasn't expecting to see that. We knew that there was a potential of a driver flipping, but I don't think we were expecting to see it happen in that quick of a fashion.
That quick of a fashion and that violent also, because that was a hard hit from Chuck Sweeting. Danny Cochran is going to be in the pits for quite a while. A lot of panels been up. He's even missing the rear trunk cover there as well. So that's going to be some major repairs for him to be able to get back out on track and even be able to keep up maintained speed. So bizarre wreck indeed to start this race off, but still got a lot of racing and a lot of cars still out on track.
I know that's going to be a little bit frustrating for some of the people out in chat. One of those being Trent McKenzie, that was super excited to see what Danny Cochran had for tonight's race. Known for being very good at super speedways, but it looks like for Danny Cochran, his season might have to officially start next week at the 08 configuration of Atlanta. Also, a little bit of a cheeky comment from Nick Crawford. Looks like the 2-car got his pilot's license, mainly because Danny Cochran is going for his pilot's license. So we got a little bit of testing of airborne in sim for himself. Already the 57 officially out of the server, still getting repairs, is going to be the 10 machine. Going to be seeing how Jan van Leer is going to get their machine fixed up, as well as Danny Cochran. Jane Tarian got a little bit of repairs done for himself, same for Kyle Rochelle, and they are back out on track as everyone from 20th on back came into pit road to get service done. Jared Talmadge, Brian McCann, Ryan Kelly, all will stay out there on track as we are waiting for the 1 to go indicator. Those pace car lights go off. Everyone's stacked side by side, and there we go. We're getting ready for 1 to go here tonight. I mean, Richard, at the start, I think some of these drivers wanted, but this was the worry with having over 30 drivers, a car that's really unstable. Those moments are probably going to blossom up a little bit more as this race progresses into its more intense factors later on.
Once these drivers, when it gets especially down to the cut line, getting close to that 10, 20, 10 or 15 laps to go, that's where the aggression is probably going to skyrocket for these guys, especially the ones in the back trying to make their way up front. My biggest thing I'm very intrigued about is how the tire wear is going to affect these guys at this track in these cars. So as we saw, the 20th on back went in, took service. It looks like a few of them just got fuel, but a few did take tires as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if the tires actually do affect how this car handles here on this 08 surface. So it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, all drivers given 4 extra sets of tires in pit road if they want to use them at any point here this evening. That was actually something I was going to bring up. I was curious on the fact that these drivers say that this vehicle feels so loose. Would handling be a factor that you want to make sure you got fresh rubber for, or would you like a little bit more of a worn-in tire to feel like you're more comfortable out there on course? But up front, drivers are stacked up. It's going to be the 27 of Jared Talmadge leading the way on the inside with Brian McCann on the outside. Brian McCann obviously running one of Dale Hart Jr.'s old 8-machine liveries, and I think that's so much fun with the Gen 4s. We're going to see a lot of liveries that are kind of throwback schemes. Some are running their own personal schemes that they just want to show off their own sponsors, but some of those throwback liveries are always fun to see them come out on these classic vehicles that iRacing has scanned. With pace car about to pull off, we're about to go back to green flag racing. Race 1 of season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs is back underway. And trying to get in line quickly is going to be the 8 and the 3 and the 27. A lot of single filing out immediately. No one wants to stay 2 by 2. And I think that was a little bit jarring to see how quick quickly everyone just got in line there, Richard, because it's kind of broken up to our top three are gapping everyone else that's still trying to find their footing to get in line.
Yeah, that was impressive to see those three guys just quickly into single file line here as everybody else fights side by side. But that was the exact goal I was saying that these drivers probably are going to look at doing. Get a single file as quick as possible. Save yourselves from any wrecks like we had just saw on the backstretch last green flag run. So, but that you can see right there, you know, the top almost 10 cars already in single file line, but huge moves coming in from Ross Tatum as he shoots to the inside to try to make some passes, get that inside line working as well as he pulls up right behind the number 33 there, try to get that inside line going and get some momentum into that team.
Moving along, a lot of drivers over the radio trying to announce, hey, we're starting to check up, we're starting to slow down, being very vocal to each other are ways that drivers can relay information to try to minimize any type of wrecks or incidences. But into the wall, going to be faltering back. That's going to be Jordan Beru Babi, who's going to be just still stuck in the wall. He will lose the draft for the 22. That is a miserable start to this most recent restart. As over the radio, he is not happy. Here's going to be seeing the 7, new number, but a driver that we know for aggression, John Forbes, able to get by the 21 of Ross Tatum. And seeing Forbes moving forward, the 1 of Gavin Rogers. It's going to be a while to get used to some of these numbers because I'm so used to the 7 being Douglas Newbegin. Not the case. He's moved over to the 77. A couple of other drivers trying to find their own footing as stuck in the middle going backwards. Curtis Preston in the 29. He's stuck in what we like to call the sucker hole. He is heading backwards with no help behind.
Yeah, that sucker hole is detrimental to these drivers. You get stuck there, you get no help, you've got no drafting help and a whole bunch of side draft from everybody around you, but he's able to slot in right above into the outside line there, so he's not going to lose a ton of ground. He's going to be able to stay in the draft, stay in this group as well, so great work from him, and I think a little bit of help from the driver behind him as well. So he's doing good, staying up there in that top line. But yeah, no, the different numbers is going to be something to get used to as well. Luckily, Gavin Rogers being the previous champion is going to be a little easier to understand that one because the rule of the number 1 being able to be ran by the prior champion. So, but yeah, Douglas Newbegin also not in the number 7 being John Forbes now. So it's going to be interesting to see what these drivers are going to be doing on this inside line. They are still trying to get some momentum built up in that line and get it working.
You got the number 10 of Jan Van, who's just trying to find his way to move forward. It was one of the drivers that stayed in for over a minute and a half of repairs that he had to put on this 10 machine after being involved with an incident, and now still working pretty well. I mean, these drivers that had damage as big looseness by the 50 machine of Samuel Garcia, who will try to get slotted the best that he can. We're starting to see a little bit of a breakaway of our top 12. A little bit more comfortable up front, single filed out, not a lot of side-by-side wiggle wobble that's happening for most of the field as Cody Reed trying to set himself up to move forward. We also have a report in the chat from Chuck Sweeting. That was the shortest race I've had in years, and yeah, that was not the way that we wanted to see Chuck start season 12, his grand return to the WSSR Cup Series. We're in the early years of this series. He was one of the drivers to watch out for. I was excited to see what he was going to bring out tonight. Not going to be the case anymore. We also have an update of more drivers calling it a night with Chuck. Danny Cochran officially out of this race, and you can now join Jordan Biombe out of this race as he is done as well. So 3 drivers out, 31 still on the track. 30, it's officially still attached to the draft currently, and it's still Jared Talmadge leading the way for himself, but starting to see the inside lane. Starting to find some more drivers willing to go down there, building up some momentum. And Richard, here we go. Now it's side-by-side inside of our top 10.
Yeah, back to the side-by-side racing. This inside line has finally found some momentum as they're starting to inch forward and get that speed working. But every time a car gets in front of them, it takes a while for them to get that speed back moving. As you saw the 24 earlier, kind of drive down below in front of Ben Keeney, so they got to build that momentum back up, but they are on the shortest way around the track. That is what's really helping these guys. Downside, the outside does have that momentum. They can keep the speed up coming off the turn down the straightaways. So as you can see right there is the 24 Volley Fonseca losing some ground to those guys on the outside. They've got to figure something out to get moving back forward again.
Let's talk about moving. We're seeing a lot of movement of drivers just bouncing up and down, looseness throughout the corner. and just trying to have a handful of this vehicle. When we think about the current configuration of Daytona, the repavement, how much smoother it is, and all about holding a straight line, carrying the most momentum that way. I mean, watching these drivers right now, Richard, it just looks like stay in line with the draft and then just hope and pray that your vehicle is still pointing straight once you exit the corner.
Yeah, and the one thing that's going to be different that we used to say with the next gen cars is, don't push the pusher. Like you could a little bit, but it's something you don't really want to do. Right now, you don't even want to be the pusher pushing the guy in front of you just because you don't want that chance of lifting their rear end up and causing a huge spin. So a lot of it is just, get as close as you can to get as much air off that guy in the front of you to get them moving forward. That's the best way to draft here. There's not a lot of pushing you can do.
Ethan Smith, deeper in the field, able to keep his foot in the throttle longer than anyone else. Put down the fastest lap of the day so far as the 99 lingers all the way back in 25th position. And that back half group all still trying to ramp up to full speed and keep their positioning. Up front, still drivers running on the outside. And this is what traditional super speedway racing was like back in the day. With this Gen 4 car was a lot of control your lane, carry the speed, and a lot of drivers staying to the outside. Curious on those final 20 laps, though, when we see drivers willing to make some bigger moves. When will we see the top five kind of just break away from one another, as Jared Talmadge doesn't really have any friends or allies for himself, as Talmadge is a part of Lucky Duck Motorsports Team 2. That's got Ben Keeney, Ryan Noel, Douglas Newbigin. He's part of Lucky Duck Team 1. It's got John Forbes, Jake Nichols, and Gavin Rogers. None of those drivers are really close to this 27. He's doing all this work just trusting the drivers that are behind him. Or we find Brian McCann in this 8 just willing to follow at this time. But when will you see the first driver drop down? That's what I'm most curious about.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when he gets his teammates up there, if they're going to be able to control this race. But him being all the way out by himself, he's got nobody to really help him out. But the good thing is all the drivers are just kind of staying in line on the outside with him. Nobody's really trying to make a move, and they really shouldn't be right now. It's still a very long race, a lot of laps to go still. There's no reason to take any chances, make a move that can completely send you all the way back to the back of the field when you're running around second, third, fourth, or fifth right now. So staying behind Jared Talmadge, that's the plan for these drivers on the outside line. The inside line still doing everything they can to try to get that momentum back and get that train moving.
And one of those teamwork working together. One of the drivers you got to watch out for is Brian McCann. He's got his teammate in the 3 of Ryan Kelly behind him, part of the Cody Glenn Cox Music Racing team. That's Brian McCann, Chris Stitz, Larry Yingling, and Ryan Kelly that are all a part of a team. Trying the rest of the board. Speaking of moving forward at some point, watch out for the team called the Outsiders. That's Curtis Preston in the 29, the 14 GT Rosari, and the 94 Travis Everett. Those drivers, if they can get together, would work out great. But as we're seeing right now, drivers kind of left on their lonesome are a few. As Curtis Preston's all by himself, Ryan Kelly is just nowhere to be found. And then you've got this trio that's kind of just waiting for chaos to strike. Shane Taryn, Matt Meir, and Everett all just waiting in 27th, 28th, and 29th.
Yeah, they're just kind of sitting in the back waiting for something to happen at this point because they're so far back. It's not like they can make any massive moves to move up through the field anymore, but they're just kind of sitting back here waiting for any kind of big wreck to happen so they can keep their car clean and not be involved in the wreck. Like I was saying earlier, keep that car clean, you'll be there at the end, and that's what they're doing. They're taking the strategy, keeping that car safe, staying out of this chaos. Because that two-wide racing, these cars are bouncing on these turns, and they're sliding all over the place. So, the chance of someone getting into the side of another car, it's not as low as you would think with how much these cars have been moving around.
There's going to be Cedric Hunter in the 13 machine, a winner of the Daytona race all the way back in season 7, as that's when he found himself in victory lane for the second opener of his career that he got done. His only super speedway win at Daytona win for the 13. He's hoping to maybe grab a little bit more magic as more drivers duck into the inside, trying to find a space to move forward. Zach Hall now going to be leading that inside groove with Vincent Sora. Might see that 13 drop down and try to work with the grouping of drivers from Category 5 Esports. As Category 5 Esports, going to be Brian P. Johnson, Cedric Hunter, Vincent Zora, and Zach Hall. And you can see some drivers really willing to give the bumper, as when you can see the engine off this gearbox cam, that means that driver is right there, giving a huge push, trying to allow the driver to carry as much speed as possible. But you got to be careful pushing drivers into the corner. That can get you a little bit squirrely if you're not careful, as GT Rosari in the 14 was that driver all the way on the outside, as the 14 has finally registered up 15 laps down. But due to missing that first big wreck, he'll gain 3 positions and move up into 32nd in just 2 laps.
Yeah, sometimes even like you're, quite a few laps down, you're not going to make up those laps and get back on the lead lap, but just get out there, stay on the track. Don't get involved in a wreck. The people that do get involved in a wreck, you're going to pass them and make up points. In a season long where points matter, every point is huge. So GT Rosari back out on track, no chance to win this race, but points are what's on his mind today, and that's all he's out there trying to get at this point.
And the lack of bonus points, due to the fact that there's no stage racing anymore in the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs, I think that's the portion that drivers are excited about, because it puts so much more pressure on finishing the race and not just running the first quarter and then find out how to survive. And now drivers that are willing to have that mental fortitude to just continue motoring through, even though they feel like their night's already over, they will be rewarded later on in the season. But no stage racing, Richard, I think that's a factor that we've been starting to see kind of be a trend now in iRacing leagues, of leagues moving away from the way that actual NASCAR runs week in and week out.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see the stage racing. While it does produce some really interesting racing for the first very short part of the race, I do kind of like the factor that, these drivers, they don't have a break now. They've got to race from green flag to checkered flag, with occasional scattered yellow flags throughout the race that could happen. But it's not, hey, we're going to race and plan our strategy around this stage break, and then we're going to go out and try and win the race. It's, how far can we run these fuel mileage, fuel numbers, tires? It's all a huge factor now, and it's great to see, because we get a lot more long green flag runs typically to see actual racing versus just watching.
As we've been watching Douglas Newbigging, and also some of the hairy situations ahead of him. Kind of a little bit squirrely a couple of times in front of the 77. Luckily they squared away, as a few drivers, as this run has progressed on, they've been out there for 24 laps on this set of tires. And I've been starting to notice, Richard, the handling is showing. Drivers are getting pretty snappy loose in the center of the corner. I've seen a couple of drivers go very sideways, had to correct it, while also trying to carry good momentum, not to just check up everyone behind them. This is getting to a point where I think if we get later on this race, drivers are going to have to make that absolute decision. Is it worth taking tires or not? But also, with no stage racing, there's not an absolute point that there's going to be a caution to pit. Drivers have to make this decision. Those that topped off on fuel, did you make the right call? Or is it the drivers that stayed out that are going to have to pit sooner than you made the better decision? Because pit stops are going to be lingering around the corner here in the next about 15 to 20 laps.
Yeah, pit stops are going to be huge. It's going to be the big decision on whether people are take 2 tires or no tires. And, like you were saying, these cars are kind of darty all over the place. They're getting a little snappy loose in the middle of the turns. It would not be smart to not take at least 2 tires. And depending on how much you run this fuel out, you might even be able to take 4 tires with the amount of fuel you have to take. So it's going to be a very interesting time when green flag pit stops do come about, to see what drivers take what strategy. But yeah, these guys, it's exactly what we were expecting to see for this style car at this style track. I mean, they're all getting in single file line here, just kind of riding it out, saving the fuel for these guys that are further back in the field. Still got some drivers. The number 5 of Alan Elwood, he is trying to make a move on the inside all by himself, though, going into turn 3 and 4. But he's going to be left out of the draft with no help, as Cedric Hunter looks loud to try to give him a little bit, but he's kind of all out there in no man's land by himself.
No man's land, going to have one driver trying to follow along with them. That's going to be Joshua Kanata, who's been one of the lead drivers that wants this inside lane to work. It just has not rallied for himself. As Alan Elwood's on the inside, wanted to give a shout out to Elwood Designs Esports, as Alan Elwood's teaming up with Danny Ware, Richard Thomas, as well as Shane Terrian. Now, again, watching through a lot of these teams and listings of where teams are, a a lot of drivers are not with their whole teams just yet. A lot of them are maybe duoed up or by themselves. They're still trying to find their dance partner before this pit stop happens, which I feel like is going to be the big question. Are you willing to give up track position to be with your team when pit stops wind up starting, or do you just pit wherever you are on track position? That's and always the spot that I'm curious about watching teams work, because if you do group up and give up that track position, it can cost you if everyone makes a mistake in pit road.
Yeah, that's the thing is you don't want to pit with a massive group of cars. And everybody is sitting here trying to slow down all at the same time. You have different points in that slowdown point part where cars are going to be going faster than others. Other people are better on the brakes, better getting that car slowed down before that pit road speed kicks in. So that's where a lot of mistakes that's probably where we're going to see a lot of mistakes happen for these drivers, is green flag pit stops. So the best bet is try to pit off sequence from the rest of the field, but don't completely ruin your strategy on fuel, because you don't want to be 3 laps to go and you run out of fuel and have to pit again. So try to pit with your teammates or your alliances, but do not try and pit with a massive group of the field.
Again, thank you so much to all the sponsors that have tagged on for Season 12. Title sponsor, Elwood Designs. If you're looking to find yourself some custom liveries for the iRacing, go head on over and check out some of the Elwood Design bases on simwrapmarket.com. Elwood Designs has been around helping the iRacing community since 2012. I'd love to see the customizations that drivers come together and build. You can also find other Elwood Designs on Facebook at Elwood Designs, on X at Elwood Designs, and as well you can look up Elwood Alan-Elwood on Simrap Market. See all the designs that have been made by Alan Elwood and everyone a part of Elwood Designs. We also want to say thank you to Lucky Duck Motorsports, who's our grid sponsor. Lucky Duck Motorsports has been a part of the WSSR Cup Series for quite a long time. It's been a blast to see all the different drivers that have filtered in and now filling in 2 full teams for this season. They've also loved out there to fill up in charity and helping in any way possible with the racing community, as well as so many other charities that are connected with Tiltify. All Lucky Duck Motorsports drivers are repping a Tiltify charity that they have going on. As some of those drivers to watch out for is the 98 of Ben Keeney, the 00 of Brian Noel, the 77 of Douglas Newbegin, the 31 of Thomas Green, the 1 of Gavin Rogers, the 73 of Jake Nichols, the 27 of Jared Talmadge, and the 7 of John Forbes. Thank you to Lucky Ducks and everything you do to help out in the community of iRacing and beyond, as they are a grid sponsor. You can check out more of where we are Lucky Ducks on X, as well as Lucky Duck Motorsports on Instagram, to go check out all the ways that they help out the community around them. As those are some of the new sponsors that have tagged along. I mean, Richard, it's always nice to see leagues being able to find new sponsors that are kind of want to see a league grow, but also want to just share some of the amazing things that they do for the community, from Elwood Designs helping out with livery schemes, and Lucky Duck Motorsports helping drivers, as well as helping outside in charity help. It is awesome to see these leagues find sponsors that are so great for everyone around.
Yeah, it is great to see these sponsors come on board to help the league out. I mean, they have faith in the league. They like what they see. They want their name attached to such a great product as well. And these drivers, they definitely put on a great show to help bring on these sponsors. So again, thank you to all of them for coming on board WSSR Elwood Designs Cup Series. And these guys are definitely putting on a great show tonight for these sponsors as well. And, you know, Lucky Ducks, like I said, has been around for quite a while, especially with the WSSR. Some great work they do with all those charities as well.
As drivers are continuing to stay in the train, we've seen a little bit of a split. There's now 2 full packs. We've got our top 15, and then we've got 16th on back. Top 15 continue to stay in the line, just staying either in the middle of the track or up to the wall. The second group, they're still trying to find their own footing of where they want to be placed as they continue to lose time to the leaders. Over the radio, though, pit roads is about to get busy. Jared Talmadge, one of the first drivers to make the call. He's heading to pit road. Who will join him? That's going to be the true question, because a lot of Jared's teammates are in that second pack. 4 seconds now, making 5 seconds behind this 27.
Yeah, and the downside about him trying to pit now, he does have some takers in that front group going with him, but he burnt way more fuel than everybody being out front as long as he did. Try to get that car woed down. Hopefully he was able to get down to the speed. But, oh, it looks like they were coming in really hot there. But able to get down to the speed. A lot more drivers from that second group also coming down pit road. But Jarrett Talmadge leading this first group of pit road takers. We'll have to see what these drivers decide to do as Jarrett gets into his box. We'll see if he takes fuel or any tires as well.
As looks like everyone that's made their stop so far, no penalties were given for speeding on entry. We'll see on the exit as all drivers that made this pit stop is going to be Talmadge, Forbes, Reimer, also going to be Ben Keeney, Thomas Green, as well as Ross Tatum joining in the groups with Brian Noel. Now the second pack, when will they make a stop as another large group of drivers being led by Brian McCann, Ryan Kelly, and many more in the lead group head into pit road? And yeah, I mean, they look like they are screaming into that line. You got to be careful not to get a black flag. That could throw away this green flag run for yourself. Everyone looks to be good, and we're left with just 9 drivers left to make a pit stop so far.
And the 99 got spun around backward on pit road, was trying to get into his box, and there was a car underneath him. So unfortunate case for the 99. That is not what you want to see on something that shouldn't have any mistake like that.
Not at all, and it looked like he was trying to slow down. Cody Reed lifting him and spinning that 99 around. Luckily, no black flag was given for Ethan Smith, but the amount of time lost trying to get into his box is what ultimately will throw away this race unless we get a caution flag that can help him out. Here's going to be seeing the Category 5 esports drivers heading into pit road as all 5 of them come in line. That's Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora, Brian P. Johnson making their service. A majority of those that are in the second pack. A shocking driver that didn't pit was Douglas Newbigging. He did not pit, and he is currently cycled around drivers that are not showing signs of pitting anytime soon. He's by himself, and Richard, this is a lonely feeling for a driver when they have to do a whole lap just by themselves.
Yeah, that's a very interesting call from Douglas there. I mean, he had a whole bunch of cars in front of him. He was around a whole bunch of cars. I don't know why he didn't come down with the groups of drivers that were coming down. Because, yeah, being out there completely by yourself, like, yeah, you got nobody around you, but it's a Daytona. You need that draft to be able to go fast, and that's not the case. He's got a slow lap coming into pits, and that's not what you want to see. But he's finally coming down to get his service, get that car woed down, going to come in and get his tires. And that's what we've been seeing with these pit stops. It looks like a lot of drivers have been taking the 2 right side tires and fuel. So that's what they think they need to do to be able to keep this car on track with as little time on pit road as possible.
And with this pit stop being made, the drivers that should be taking the top spot going to be Shane Terry and Matt Meir, as well as going to be seeing the 12 machine of Ryan Kelly that stick together as they continue to stay out. Now, they had lost the lead pack for quite a while, and now our grid, our live timing is now cycled into the right position with Shane Terry and leading the way with Matt Meir behind him. These are drivers that have allianced with one another, as Matt Meir, not officially part of Elwood Designs, but has teamed up with Shane Terrian in other leagues in the past. As Matt Meir, Shane Terrian, also Ryan Kelly, they stay out for another lap, trying to get this lap led for the 9 machine. Get, that bonus point could be so useful later on in the season. If you know you've already lost the draft to the lead group, might as well stay out, get an advantage in some fashion, and then just hope on luck that you'll find yourself getting that caution that's so needed.
Yeah, they're definitely banking on some luck right now with the caution because, yeah, they've been able to get some time made up. They did pit also already once to get a little bit of fuel earlier in the race, so they can go a little bit further now. But the problem is 3 cars, though they got the draft, it's still not as fast as 5 or more cars. So they're still going to lose a little bit of time once those guys that have pit have already got up to speed. So these guys, they've got to look at getting into the pit lane soon, but this could just be all part of their strategy in the long game, not necessarily short, as they're diving into the pit road now.
Now they head into pit road to get service done for themselves as the drivers that are going to be becoming the new leaders, Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, Brian McCann, Jarrett Talmadge, as well as John Forbes, going to be that lead pack that have been ramping up their speed. And it's a combination of Lucky Duck Motorsports and Cody Glencock Music Racing that get together, that have found the pace. And I'm looking at the rest of the groups that are out there. They are outpacing all the other packs by 2 to 3, if not more tenths each and every lap. This group of 5 is really putting on a show just based off the time trial laps that they're putting down currently.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job keeping these cars as stable as possible, staying in as close as a straight line as possible as well. That's producing a lot less drag for every single car behind Allen Elwood there. So with them being able to stay as steady as they can, they're able to put down a lot faster laps. You can see some of those lines further back. Like, they're just not staying in a straight line like these guys, like John Forbes and 27 Jarrett Talmadge, Ada Brian McCann. These guys are doing a fantastic job keeping those cars in a very straight line, not sticking any of their noses out to create any drag. So these guys are putting on a show of how you're supposed to do it as a group here at Daytona.
They certainly are. Allen Elwood, Samuel S. Garcia trying their best to woo to the group, the second pack forward, as they're just about a second away from getting a little bit of that draft. They'll pull them along to close in on this lead group. This second pack, having Allen Elwood, Samuel S. Garcia, Danny Ware, Joshua Kanata, Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora, and Zach Hall. Third group's being led by Cody Reed, with Cody Reed, Isaac Reimer, Thomas Green, Chris Stitz, Jake Nichols, and then group number 4 is almost 10 seconds back, and they're still all fighting one another. That's from 18th all the way down to 24th. Well, as this green flag pit stop is over, everyone's scattered. It's all about running down and catching up to the group ahead of you. This might be our perfect time to step away and take our first commercial break of Season 12 for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Thank you so much to everyone that's joined with us here for this first race of the season. It's been a pleasure to give you the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You won't miss a thing as we go side by side with all the great action here from Daytona. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Tonight, it has been a fun race of single-file train racing, as the chaos is yet to brew up to a point of utter chaos, but we've already seen ourselves a few wrecks so far here tonight, a couple of drivers out of this race. And one driver we were trying to keep an eye on during this commercial break of how are the packs going to close in and group up and try to find a way to get past our top five. Well, doesn't look like to be the case, as group 2 that we have our cameras on, they lost the driver. Cedric Hunter in the 13 was being the lead pusher as he was trying to push along, in the 16 of Joshua Kanata over the radio was stating the fact that his engine was about to blow up. Didn't blow the engine, but got into the outside wall, killed all of his momentum, and has just been losing time and ground, and now has faltered into group number 3 that has just collected pack number 4. So it's a much bigger group now that we have here in front of us, as Cedric Hunter is trying to find a way to just slot himself into this grouping, but the momentum is so different, it's really not helping him to find an opening to get in line right now, Richard. This has been tough, but it looks like he finally has gotten up to speed.
Yeah, he's finally got some momentum to get back in line, but that's the problem. Like, once you lose the draft, getting back in line to get that draft back is very, very difficult, because this car just does not grab the draft like we've seen many other, other styles of these cars do. Like in next gen, you can get the draft, you can get pulled right back up into the group, and was Newbig and Cedric Hunter, a quick moment right there. Douglas got into Cedric just a tad bit. Got a little loose, but these drivers keep it straight. 3 wide racing still, but they finally sorted out back to 2 wide and into single file. But a very scary moment there for Douglas and Cedric.
This was something we were touching on while we were on the commercial break, of the fact of if the 3rd pack and the 4th pack grouped up, they were going to go from both groups having around 8 drivers each to around 12 to 16 drivers working together. And it's quite hard to find a grouping of drivers, as up into the wall is going to be Brian Noel. They have double zero just struggling to stay off the wall. But these drivers, how much patience do they have to work with one another? Are they going to be trying to fight to get better track position once again, and ultimately losing time to the groups that are ahead? This pack once was just 9 seconds away from the lead group, from the leaders. They're now third, anywhere from 12 to 15 seconds back, because a pod that was once our pack of 3 has just split it back up to 3 and 4.
Yeah, this is just unfortunate to see. You kind of expect, the bigger amount of cars to get a little bit more of the speed, a little bit more of a run, but that's just not happening. It just seems these drivers are getting a little bit less and less patient with each other, and they're just trying to make any pass they possibly can, it seems like. So, I mean, he's still got this front group with this huge smack into the wall from Thomas Green there in the 31. He's able to get it down out of the group there, but huge hit into the wall for the 31 machine as he slots back up in front of Gavin Rogers.
Drivers are just trying everything to make their pack move forward, but no one is running as perfect as our top 5. Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, Brian McCann, Jarrett Tolmich, and John Forbes have just been a machine right now. They have not really let off at all, and they're almost running just as fast, or even are putting down their fastest laps of the day. This group of 5 is proving if you can find 5 to 6 drivers that can maximize on being together, being as close as they can while giving space for their engines not to blow up, you can maximize your speed and pull away from these packs that have got 5 to 10 to 12 machines in line. It does not matter if you've got 5 drivers that are working together perfectly. This is what you get.
Yeah, these 5 drivers are a well-oiled machine. They are showing how to get it done here at Daytona, and they are just kind of checking out and leaving the field. These guys are definitely in what we call the no man's land for this group. Nobody really in front of them, nobody anywhere close to them behind them. Got 6 seconds back to that group number 2, who does seem to be getting a little bit of extra speed, might be catching them ever so slightly, but we'll have to see what they can do. But this top 5 almost looks untouchable in this current moment today.
As we're going to bring up our race report to give you, for those that maybe are just joining us here tonight, 54 laps have been ran. Only 1 caution has been thrown, which was a pretty big one. Danny Cochran went tumbling after being some extra damage collected from Chuck Sweeting. But we've had ourselves not a lot of lead changes, only 5 in total. Majority of those were under our green flag pit stop stage that we had just about 20 laps ago. And currently this field has been split up because of pit stop mistakes. Drivers not being able to get in their boxes cleanly, those that have, but also differences on their pit stops. Some took less fuel than others, some took 2 tires, some took 4. That is going to be a factor that I think that's going to change up on this next pit stop, because we're expecting at least 1 pit stop before this race is over. And Richard, I'm curious on, for those that only took 2, do you just take 2 again, or do you take 4? This is a gamble, because we're going to actually have less laps to finish out for this next pit stop, because drivers are expected in the next 10 to 15 laps to pit, and they will have only about 20 to 25 laps to go.
I think that is going to be a driver pending decision there. Depends on how you think the car's been handling, because you take those right side tires, and we've got a blown motor in one of those groups. Who was that?
Danny Ware in the 35, blown engine. The smoke is piling out, and that's from the second pack again. Another issue of they're just pushing these vehicles to their max to try to catch up to our top 5. An engine expiring for Danny Ware. The rookie's night is over on lap 56.
It is unfortunate to see, but they are doing everything they can to push as hard as they can to catch that front group. And they're trying to figure out what they can do. And that's not how you want to do it. Pushing too long, getting that engine overheated, that's what's going to happen. That engine is expired. His night is done. That is not how you want to start your rookie season here in the WSSR.
Not at all. The other driver that I was noting too is Cedric Hunter. He made a voice over the radio when he was a part of that second group that his engine was about to expire. He had to back out after getting into the wall. Now he's back into a pushing position, but all the way back in 17th place. And for Cedric Hunter, about 18 seconds behind our leaders instead of just 5 like he was in that second pack. Driver still wobbling back and forth, but this has been a fun race to watch so far. I know we didn't take a look at the weather to start the race off, but let's take a look at the weather and how track conditions could be affecting these drivers right now. Now, we know we're on the 08 surface, so it's a very bumpy track. Air temperature 84 degrees, but that track temp isn't helping anything on the tire wear factor of 97 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a warm surface the drivers are dealing with. But Richard, a factor that we really didn't touch on at all, the wind. That is a crazy amount of wind that these drivers are feeling, around 10 to 15 miles per hour. It keeps swinging back and forth with.
Yeah, that is a massive set of wind. They're almost 12 mile an hour, and that's, blowing towards the east. That is pretty much straight down the front stretch. So, I mean, that wind, it can play a pretty big factor with these cars. It can get it will step that rear end out a little bit, but they're doing a good job keeping these cars under control. But like we were talking about earlier, when it comes to the next pit stop, who's going to take 2, or is anybody going to take 4, or if they're going to take any at all? I feel if you take those right side tires, the left sides don't wear as much generally. I haven't really done a lot of testing with these cars on this track, so I don't know what that left side tire wear is like. But when you take those right side tires, it's going to give more grip to that outside of the car, which can upset the balance. It can make that car just a little bit more loose. So if these drivers can handle a loose car, take 2 tires, get a little time on that pit road as possible, get back out on track and get to racing again.
We also want to say thank you to more amazing sponsors that have tagged along for season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. We want to say thank you to our white flag sponsor, Sim Precision Prints. They're not just our white flag sponsor, but they are the official trophy sponsor for season 12. They were the trophy provider for season 11. Gavin Rogers actually got his championship trophy this past couple of weeks, and it looked fantastic. Expected to be posted here on WSSR Cup Series socials very shortly. But if you want to get yourself some great 3D printed sim gear or one-of-a-kind pieces made with passion and precision, head on over to simprecisionprints.shop. Remember to use the promo code WSSR at checkout for 10% off for over $50 orders or more. Sim Precision Shops, precision prints, performance delivered. We also want to say thank you to returning sponsors of GTR Simulators. If you want to upgrade your simming rig to a professional level, head on over to gtrsimulators.com and remember to use the promo code WSSR for purchases of $100 or more at gtrsimulators.com. Don't miss out on your chance to upgrade your rig and race like the pros. As well, another returning sponsor, Trophy Smack. head on over to trophysmack.com if you want to find yourself with rings, belts, also championship trophies, and more. Trophy Smack, traditionally known for selling trophies for fantasy football or fantasy sports in general, but they want to reach out to more groups. If you're looking for a championship trophy, if you want to show off some of your highlight moments, head on over to Trophy Smack and check out all their amazing products. One of those products being their Wall Smack. The Wall Smack is a metal plate object that you can put on your wall with their magnet safe placement, or you can get a stand for your shelves or desks. Head on over again to trophysmack.com and use the promo code WSSR Smack at checkout for 10% off on your Wall Smack today. That's all of our amazing sponsors. Again, that's Elwood Designs, Lucky Duck Motorsports, Sim Precision Prints, GTR Simulators, and Trophy Smack. Thank you so much for partnering up for Season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series. We're so thankful for all the sponsors that come on board to help out an amazing league. As we continue to look at the bigger picture here tonight for race number 1 of Season 12, Richard, this is a tough spot. I think for most of the field, it's going to come down to mistakes by this top 5. If there is any mistake on pit road, it will give you an opportunity, or you're banking on a caution to get a chance for victory tonight.
Yeah, that top 5, though, is some of the top drivers of the league. The odds of them making a mistake going into pit road is pretty low, but it's still possible. But yeah, these drivers, one of two things they're hoping for: a mistake by that top group or a caution to bring this group back to, all the cars back together. So right now, everyone's kind of in that helpless moment where you're basically going to be racing around the guys that you're already around. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get another caution or if a mistake is made by that top group. But yeah, right now, you're racing around the people you're racing, close to, because you're not catching these guys up front. They have checked out and are walking away as they're 8 seconds now ahead of that second group.
For those that are watching and have the ability, who are you rooting for? We know some of the fans' favorites have already been knocked out, like the likes of Danny Cochran. I know we've got Larry Arts Production, major sponsor of some of the drivers out on track as well, major sponsor of our Monday night series of the Trinity Racing League. He was rooting for Danny, Ollie, and Cody. You know those guys are a little bit deeper in the field, as well as we have Cody's dad out there in the chat of Lenny Reed. He knows who he's picking for here tonight. But Cody only back in 17th position, and he's part of group number 4. It's crazy. We've got 5 different pods that are out there on track. The biggest group, I believe, is this lead pack, or it's group number 3 with just 5 to 6 drivers. That is crazy to look throughout the field and see what once was a pod in a group of 12. I've now started to shrink out into smaller groups.
Yeah, the smaller groups are starting to spread out a little bit, and that was either mistakes by other drivers blowing their engine because they're too close to their car for too long. So it's interesting to see what these drivers are doing and why these, to see all these small pods throughout the entire track. So, man, it's a struggle to feel for these drivers for sure. You got to feel bad for some of these guys, just bad timing on pit road or just not being able to get their speed up and going with the guys they're around. So it's, looking forward to see what these green flag pit stops coming up can do and if it can shuffle anything up. But it's going to be a wild race still. Don't think there's going to be a caution for the most part with small groups throughout the track.
We got a couple of people root for Larry Yangling as well. Lucky Ducks root for Jared Talmadge and John Forbes in this top spot as they're part of this lead pack. We also have Preston Smith telling Ethan Smith, grab another gear, get moving. I mean, I'm not surprised that you would hope that you had another gear. I think for some of these drivers, it might have been a weird swing going from the next gen to the Gen 4 on the fact of you only have 4 gears to work with instead of the Gen 7 that's got 5. And sometimes it is funny to try to if you got paddles, we got gear shifters, I'm just hoping, can I find another gear when out there on track?
Yeah, racing the next gen so long, and we have green flag pit stops happening. This front group is pitting. This is not the first group to pit, though. Douglas New, Biggie, and Brian Noel, they were the first cars to get on pit road, but these guys load it down. They're able to get on flawlessly to pit road. This top 5, not a mistake happened. We'll have to see what their pit strategy is when they come in. Another group, and the number 5 of Allen, I think he was coming in way too hot. That potentially could be a speeding in pit road.
It is black flag penalty for the 5 machine as well for the 24 of Ollie Fonseca. Fonseca penalty leaving pit road. He'll have to come back in to get service done, as Cody Reed as well as the 29 going to be getting their service into pit road, and everyone pushed it as far as they could. Now it's time to get your service done and get back out there on track, as that was a wild one as Curtis Preston was that 29. But Ali Fonseca has to get service done. Also, Jan van Leer also gets a penalty. He's got to stay in pit road for extended time, joining Alan Elwood. And Ali Fonseca having to pull into pit road here for another time under green flag conditions because of speeding out of pit road. Those are the mistakes you cannot afford to have. And those are the mistakes that did not crush our top 5, which honestly is going to be the big thing to watch. Or will there be a caution as Ollie Fonseca serving his black flag penalty? He heads into pit road, but he's side by side with Jake Nichols. Nichols is trying to get into the pits. The 24 will slow down and now go into his box, as the 74, he'll go in and get his service done as well.
Yeah, this should be close to finishing up all the green flag pit stops for the field, and everyone should cycle back out. But that top group back in line again already, back to their well-oiled machine run they've been having. Not a mistake on pit road for these guys, and they're back out and going, trying to extend that lead and make sure that these are the 5 that are going to be racing for the win.
Oh, and even more mistakes hit Ollie Fonseca. He was caught speeding while trying to serve that penalty. That's why he had to go into his box. 40-second hold for the 24. He's going to go now multiple laps down. As Ryan Kelly, Larry Engling, John Forbes, Jared Talmadge, Brian McCann, your top 5. They've been the dominant 5 all night long. And now it's just watch those laps tick away. Cross your fingers, hope that no yellow flag comes out. And it's just going to be a duel between the 5 to figure out who's going to be winning the first race of season 12. There are still a couple of pots throughout the field. There's a lot more lap traffic that's going to be mixed and mingled as well. Can you find any grouping that can help you out? Because the second group is 6th place Joshua Kanata. He is 13.5 seconds back from the leader, and his group of just 3 drivers, they're not stacked up, they're just losing time. It continues to just get worse and worse for all these drivers. The third pack is 22 seconds off the lead 5.
Yeah, this is just a wild performance from this top 5 group, and how nobody has been able to match their speed. Nobody's able to get hooked up, get working together. It just seems like everybody's on their own agenda of what they're trying to do, and nobody wants to sit there and get in line and get their cars up to challenge these guys. And I don't think there's going to be any time, no matter what the speed is they're going to try to put down in those back groups, they're not going to have the time to catch these guys before the end of the race.
As scattering through, seeing all the groups, here is your top 5 and where they run right now. Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, John Forbes, Jarrett Talmadge, and Brian McCann. How well do you want to work with one another, as it is just these 5 that are looking to be the favorite? You've got 2 drivers from Lucky Duck, being John Forbes and Jarrett Talmadge. They're from the Lucky Duck main group. Then you've got the Cody Glencock Music Racing Group of Brian McCann, Larry Yingling, and Ryan Kelly. 2 teams. It's a 3v2. If we stay like this for the next 20 laps, you would assume that the 3 drivers that are on a team would be the better odds. But John Forbes won this championship for the WSSR 2 years ago. 2 seasons ago. Jared Talmadge has been the most dominant car all throughout tonight and throughout the offseason with this Gen 4. It's been a lot of unknowns with Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, and as well for Brian McCann. But if any team could get it done, it would be the 67, the 3-time champ. Can he start the season off with a bang, winning here at Daytona? Well, we've got 19 laps to figure that out. And Richard, this is mounting up to be a hold your breath a moment if we're able to stay clean and green for these next 19 laps.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a hold your breath moment for these top five drivers. And, we know John Forbes, he had a lot of run-ins last season with drivers, and he says he's going to race everybody how he expects to be raced also. And he's a very, very, very aggressive, very physical driver. And Jarrett Talmadge is about that same style of racing as John Forbes. So I can totally expect these two to get their elbows out when he gets close to the end of the race. But he's got to race against three teammates of the three, the 67 and the number 8, who can easily shuffle those two out and keep them out of the main draft when it gets closer to the end here. But we got to jump back here to Douglas Newbigging following the number 28 machine right there, trying to get that group up and moving as well.
This is back in 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th place. This group 30 plus seconds behind our leader, but about to be closing in on another group of drivers being led by Isaac Reimer, as well as seeing Cedric Hunter, and also the 33 joining along with them, as well as Isaac Reimer, the 50 machine tagging along with them of Samuel S. Garcia. And so it's going to collect this group, can add a few more drivers. This could help them out, but at this point, you're just minimizing the bleeding that's happening right now. This is getting a little outrageous on the fact of how big of a difference we're seeing. But the fun, you could say, for us and the viewers, the stress for the top 5, they're closing in on some packs of drivers that will influence this race for the likes of, we got GT Rosari as well as Travis Everett. They're about to be seeing Everett go a lap down, and GT is about to go another lap down to be 17 laps down. This pairing of two, curious if they're going to try to latch on to our top 5 or if they even have the pace to do so. And then once we get by that group, we then have a pack of about 6 that then would be run down, being led by Shane Tyrion, Ethan Smith, Matt Muir, Ross Tatum, and Chris Stitz. That would be under fire, being caught. They're 41 seconds behind the leaders, so that would be right around white flag to 2 laps to go that our top 5 would catch up to that group, which would add some flair to the end of this race.
No, it could definitely add some flair to the end of this race, but even so, this top group, if they wanted to not be involved in lap traffic for the end of this race, they could slow their pace down as well. Not saying that they will, not saying they want to do that. That could, help them with the decisions they make with lap traffic coming up. They have a ton of time that they could easily slow their pace down and give up just a little bit of time so they don't run into that lap traffic for the end of the race. But who knows what their idea is, what their strategy is. Maybe Ryan Kelly wants that lap traffic to kind of disrupt the Lucky Duck drivers. We'll have to see when they catch them, but these guys, this is the race for the win, these top 5 right here. Unless a caution comes out, which would be very unfortunate for these guys are hoping for a green flag run all the way to the checkered flag.
And looking at some other drivers that are deeper in the field that are trying to just stay attached to their own groups. Cody Reed looks to be made a little bit of over adjustment, brushing the wall, lost some momentum and time, has now fallen to 22nd position and has completely lost his group that he was a part of. Now he'll be slowly falling back to Travis Everett, as well as a few others that are about to be going a lap down. The race continues on. 15 laps to go for this whole entire field, as drivers bobbing and weaving. Here's Ethan Smith in the 99, Shane Darian in the 9, Matt Muir. This group, they are slowly being caught by our leaders. Looking at lap times, they ran almost a half a second slower than our top 5. Reason why, there's a lot of gaps that are being built out. Also being dragged along, seeing GT Rosari, Travis Everett, they've now been caught by the top 5. Able to drive by. Cody Reed will be the next driver that will be losing a lap if this race continues to stay green. But Richard, I mean, really the factor is when this lead pack catches Shane Tyrion, Ethan Smith, Matt Muir, Ross Tatum, and Chris Stitz, that grouping of drivers, I think that's when the drama could ramp up to different levels of, if you're Ryan Kelly and Larry Yingling and a lot of those Cody Glencock Music Racing teammates, where do you place yourself with lap traffic? Because then it kind of has that short track feel of lap traffic could be the factor on if you win this race or not.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like, you can get behind the lap traffic if you're the lead car, help get that tow from them, but you don't want to give that space on the top lane for the Lucky Ducks drivers to take advantage of that, because you might be behind those lap traffic cars, but if they get that run, they can get beside your teammate of Larry Yingling and stop him from moving to the outside line, and then you're just kind of a sitting duck for those two guys as they'd be sitting second and third. So it's definitely going to be a hard decision on what to do. They might just hold their line and let the Lucky Ducks guys make the move, let them try and make the mistake, because if you're just holding your line, it's less of a mistake you're going to make versus the guys trying to make the move to get around you.
For those that are able to chat out there, are you wanting a caution or are you wanting this race to stay green? Type out there if you want a caution or not. I'm curious on what the audience members' thoughts are on this, because I'm curious on how the team factor is going to change up as the driver has now been caught. That's Cody Reed that's about to go a lap down, and Cody expected to stay to the outside, and everyone will go to the inside. There's that 25 staying high, going a lap down, leaving us with 21 drivers now left on the lead lap. And out there in chat, Lucky Duck Motorsports, I think with no surprise, they want this to stay green now. Lenny Reed, he wants a caution due to Cody Reed just going a lap down. He would get that Lucky Dog spot, but we continue to stay green, closing in on 10 laps to go. It's getting close, and drivers are getting a little bit more antsy. You've been trying to stay stable, and Richard, when you've been green for this long, you had your first caution all the way back at lap 3 of this race. You've been green ever since then. That anticipation and anxiety starts to ramp up of, when do I want to make my move? At what point can I do it? Do I make my move too soon, too late? Those thoughts start rattling in these final handful of laps that these drivers are getting to.
Yeah, and being a driver that has been in the situations like that before, it is a very stressful time of the race. It is a whole bunch of questions going through your head. Sometimes you just got to make the move and hope for the best, as we have teammates back with Douglas Newbigging and the 00 of Brian Noel. They're kind of fighting each other also as they're side by side. I mean, there's a lot of moments where these guys are getting really loose, a lot of wobbliness from these drivers. We could potentially see a yellow happen if it continues, but we got teammates here racing side by side.
Side by side, and this is just for position. I mean, they're about 36 seconds behind our leader, so they've got the time and space to kind of battle back and forth, get in the right position to fight back and forth. Now, you don't want to just wreck yourself, and you don't want to lose the pack that's ahead of you. That's why they have to get in line quickly and start pushing pretty aggressively to get Noel Newbigging forward and not to lose to Cedric Hunter and co. that are ahead, just scampering away at this moment because of that swappage that they just made. And the main reason you might be making these passes, swapping back and forth, that driver that is second in line, if they've been pushing a lot, like we saw for Danny Ware, you can blow your engine if you're not careful. And so drivers are always trying to also think about their engine temps while racing as quickly as possible with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, besides tires and fuel, engine temperature is another resource that people have to kind of balance out. You can't follow too close for too long, because we'll see exactly what we saw with Cody Ware. The engine expires, see a big puff of smoke, and your day's done. So it's something you have to balance with everything else that you have to balance as well. And that's, these drivers up front, they're doing a perfect example of that. They're not really even pushing too hard, which is funny. I mean, you see a lot of these drivers in these backpacks. That second driver is right up on the bumper of the leading car of the pack. But these guys, they've kept a nice close distance between every single one of these cars, and nobody's really pushed anybody. This is exactly how these cars need to be raced on this style of racing, and everyone needs to kind of go back and rewatch this and learn what these guys have done, because Talladega, that's the last race of the regular season, and that could be where the championship can be determined as well.
Yeah, and again, we've got that midway of the regular season. Big update. Curious on how that might change. Maybe super speedway package. Would this information that we're seeing here tonight even be useful at Talladega? That's going to be a question mark moving forward. But this has been picture perfect racing for the top 5, who continue to gap away. The difference now over 22 seconds between first place all the way back to 6th place, where we find Vincent Sora, Zach Hall, the 2 drivers that we picked as drivers to watch out for here tonight. They're in the top 10, but they're nowhere to be seen for a race win if we continue to stay green like this.
I mean, they are almost a whole half of track behind this front group, and that's not usually what you'll see at this style of racing on any of the stock car styles when you got to make pit stops. So it's impressive to see from this front group, to see what they've been able to do this entire race and just walk away with this race themselves, really. So, I mean, if this race keeps picture perfect for these guys, it's, something to definitely throw in the books for them. But they're just hoping that everyone else kind of keeps it calm. But it is not looking like that looking back at some of these groups.
Absolutely not. And setting the tone has been the top five. I mean, Brian Kelly, he's a multi-time winner. You're curious on how this vehicle might set into his racing ways. It's been a lot of, you talk about tire wear. This 3 is always on the top of the charts when you watch out for that. I mean, Larry Yingling, same tire wear tracks. He's usually very strong there, but this 67 is a 3-time WSSR Cup Series champion. He knows how to get it done. Behind him is John Forbes, who won the season 11 champion. Won the season 10 championship and trying to find himself going for another championship if possible. And then you've got Jared Talmadge, the favorite entering into this season. A lot of ramping up conversations have been there for the 27 as he is the favorite, really looking at all tracks outside of super speedway racing. Then you've got the 8 of Brian McCann, who maybe doesn't have the most wins, but he was starting to hit form at the end of last season, was starting to find some pole awards, was starting to find a little bit more consistency inside of the top 15. I think this 8 could be that under the radar driver to watch out for as the season progresses on. And then the rest of the field, they certainly were not there for tonight's race with the way that pit stops have lined up, the way that teamwork has been the factor. And this has been a fighting, grueling race of who could find picture-perfect runs here tonight. You want to give credit, though, to the second pack. I mean, I'm looking at this, Richard. We're starting to see some moves as Lucky Ducks wants to be the lead drivers coming to the end of this thing. Top 5 are now making moves and passes. The last 3 laps, though, there's been a massive cut in the gap. It was over 22 seconds, now down to 18 seconds. Vincent Sora, Zach Hall, Joshua Kanata in that group, they have found pace. And if they can just ramp it up in this top group, makes major loss of time, I mean, there could be a little bit of late race shenanigans here.
Yeah, there definitely could. That second group has made up a ton of time in the past couple of laps, and that's not what these guys want to see in the front because they're side by side now. This is going to cut their times a lot as well. That was a 50-second lap for Ryan Kelly. That is a massive time difference for what we've been seeing him run all race. And that second group, 17 seconds back now. But these guys still running side by side through 1 and 2.
Side drafting hurting their times, went from putting 47 seconds to 48-second lap times, now into the 50s. This is a loss of time. They needed to get back in line because it went from 22 seconds down to 17 seconds, the difference between this first pack to the second. I know that's still a major gap, but if they had stayed side by side, they could have lost this whole entire gap by coming to that white flag. Instead, it is all going to be Cody Glencock's Music Racing in line. 1, 2, 3. John Forbes, Jared Talmadge, find some magic, find the luck. Lucky Duck Motorsports, you've got 3 laps to find your attacking move to try to steal this one away from Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, and Brian McCann.
John Forbes is doing a fantastic job, though. He's keeping a decent-sized gap between him and the car in front of him, the number 8 of Brian McCann. That will give him a huge run from the draft, and there you see it. He's going to shoot low down on the backstretch. No help from his teammate currently. He's down there all by himself. Jared Talmadge staying on the outside, finally going to look low as they go into turn 3, but not enough momentum. He's still side by side with Brian McCann as they go through 3 and 4. He will not be able to make that pass. Brian still has the draft from his teammates in front of him.
He's got the drop, but the side drop by John Forbes is trying to whoop up that 8 machine. Jared Talmadge dropping low, trying to find a way to push that momentum. The battle for third certainly ramping up with 2 laps to go. This is the lap. If a caution comes out, we head to overtime. Otherwise, if you're Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, keep your foot on the throttle and just look forward because in your mirror, John Forbes as well as Jared Talmadge have nothing for you. But caution, will it fly? Trouble further on back. Still no caution flag has been thrown, but we continue to stay green. Richard, they are just waiting. You can see the debris on the apron, but still no yellow flag is thrown. John Forbes nowhere close, and we're exiting at turn number 4, looking up to the flag stand. There is no yellow. It is all white waiting for you. It's your Sim Precision white flag in the air for Ryan Kelly and also Larry Yingling. As they look back behind them, Forbes needs a run, but he's nowhere to be found as the 29 stays low. That's Curtis Preston. It's now down to our top 5. Make some magic here with a lap and a half to go.
Lap left to go. John Forbes has got to make a move later in the race. I think this is too soon for John Forbes. The move has to be made in 3 and 4, but I think that's for the window. He's just trying to get into space, get in front of Brian McCann. He should have the pass done. Brian McCann is now out of the draft as the other 2 of his teammates drop low to block John Forbes.
All that run, all that momentum just for one pass. You've got 2 more drivers to get by. It's a 2-on-2. Teammates versus teammates. Will it be Lucky Ducks? Will it be Glenn Cox Music Racing? And for Ryan Kelly, he'll start the season off with a win. The 3 gets it done here at Daytona for season 12.
Phenomenal race for these top 5s and a great win for Ryan Kelly. Larry Yingling did everything he could to keep John Forbes behind him, but he's got his nose just underneath. He was able to side draft him and pull him back. But a top 2, or 1 and 3 for the Cody Glenn Cox Music Race team, and then John Forbes starting the season off with his 2nd place finish.
John Forbes tried his best to try to steal it there late, but the whole entire field looking in awe. Top 5 finish, over 16 seconds ahead of Vincent Sora and Zach Hall. It was a simple duel. Teammates on teammate action, and Brian Kelly had the nose ahead. Congratulations to this 3 machine. His first ever race season opener win for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. And what a race to set the tone. Perfection was needed, perfection was exceeded, and Ryan Kelly gets to enjoy victory here this evening. Congratulations to Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, as well as Brian McCann. Those 3 drivers did an excellent job defending to make sure at least one of them got to victory lane. But your hat has to go off to John Forbes, Jared Talmadge. They did everything that they could. It just was not enough. Enjoy the smoke show as we will step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3, Ryan Kelly, John Forbes Jr., and Larry Yingling on their thoughts on tonight's race. Pure dominance. And we can't wait to talk to them. We'll be back for the post-race show after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of Race 1 of Season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. And your first victor for Season 12 goes to the three machine of Ryan Kelly. We head to Victory Lane to talk to the three machine and get his thoughts on tonight's race. It was really just your top five to worry about, and three of those top five was Cody Glencock Music Racing teammate drivers. And we've got ourselves Ryan Kelly with us. Ryan, I mean, behind you, you got teammates and allies aplenty, and you come away with the victory at the end of the day. How are you feeling winning the first race of Season 12?
Yeah, it's awesome to win the opener here. Definitely big thanks to my teammates there. Like you said, couldn't have done it without them pushing me all race. And yeah, perfect way to start. New car and first win here. And hopefully the rest of the season will go like this.
Yeah, fantastic win, especially bringing the number 3 back to victory lane at Daytona at that. That's just iconic in itself. But I mean, we've heard some great things about you and your testing you've been doing with this car here on other tracks as well. Do you feel like you can, return to what you used to do in the next gen with the tire saving and be able to be there during the tire saving tracks?
Yeah, I feel good with this car. I felt really good when we ran this car a couple seasons ago, the older version of it before they got the right bodies here. And had some computer issues last season and was having those blinking problems. So I think I got all that sorted and got a new setup here, and hopefully everything will click into place and can run up front like we were in the previous years before.
I mean, Ryan, it was pure magic watching the top five and the way that you guys just continued to build on your gap. What was it like trying to come into pit road those two times under green and trying to make sure that all five drivers were attached and you guys were able to continue your dominance that you had?
Yeah, that was definitely where the pressure was because we knew that's where the time would be lost or won, and we just really focused on nailing that. I was definitely sent it in a little too hard there on my first pit stop, but just stuck to two tires the whole race and full tank of fuel. And we kind of realized towards the end that running up towards the wall was slowing us down a little. So kind of just came a lane off the wall, and I think that's what let us break away there as a team.
Well, you guys did a picture perfect job there at the end. Congratulations on this win, Ryan. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, just all the drivers tonight for a super clean race here at Daytona, and you guys putting on the show. And new sponsor, Cody Glencock's Music, for sponsoring the whole team, and definitely my teammates tonight because I would not have won this race without them. So big shout out to them, and hope everyone enjoyed.
Well, that'll be the three machine of Ryan Kelly starting the season off right with a victory. Congratulations on this, Ryan, and good luck next week at Atlanta.
Thanks, guys.
As we move away from victory lane, we head down to second place to the driver who's got a new number, new team, and almost come away with the victory to start things off. We've got John Forbes with us. John, second place isn't bad when you've got yourself a new team, a new number, but man, it was so close, just wasn't enough. How are you feeling, though, after your performance here tonight?
Yeah, it's a great way to start off the season. Obviously, there was a lot of changes with teams and stuff. So, yeah, it was really fun to be able to bring Jared over and hang out with a bunch of new guys tonight. We didn't have to do a whole lot of team coordinating or anything. We really got spread out after that first green flag stop. And, I mean, it just worked out for us. Us top five stayed together. We started working with Larry, Ryan, all the guys up here, Brian McCann. But, yeah, from there, we were just kind of biding our time. Really just waiting for a caution. We all thought it was going to come out, and we were surprised to see the white flag fall. And from there, I mean, I think it was 3 to go. Me and Jarrett made our first move, and I mean, as soon as you go to the bottom, your momentum's just gone. Jarrett couldn't stay connected with me just because of how the arrow works, I guess now. It's definitely not what I expected coming into the night. Like, I remember when these cars first got released, and the package was a blast. So I was expecting that coming in, and then to see just how single file it was, kind of disappointing, but I mean, it could have been worse. We were part of the lucky group that got to break away. Like I said, that's top five, and we were running some great laps, just biding our time. And I mean, can't complain. Second, fourth for the team tonight. Great way to start off, like you said. But yeah, just wish it could have been a win. But yeah, it's hard to do anything. I really don't know what I could have done differently there. It's just, yeah, like I said, hard to make a pass. But yeah, second and fourth tonight, great way to start the new season with Lucky Ducks. Super happy to be a part of this team. We're going to see what we can do this season.
Yeah, John, it looks like great return to form for yourself after just missing the championship last season. But, coming out second place today, new team, new number. I mean, for today's race, were you guys trying to work as a full team for strategy calls, or were you kind of, whoever you were around, that's who you're going to work with?
Yeah, we were all in the same VC, obviously. I mean, just being one of the bigger tracks. Not sure how it'll look like week to week. It is a lot of guys to have in one voice chat. So we were working together very well, just kind of trying to get all of us arranged, especially getting ready for the first stop before the caution came out. We were doing a great job at that. I feel like throughout the race, we were just going to be able to keep picking everybody off one by one and just keep making our way towards the front. And it did help that some guys were experimenting, getting the bottom going. And I would just watch them drop to the back. So I'm like, okay, cool, there's another spot, And then all of a sudden I found myself in the top 5 before the first green flag stopped. So yeah, it's nice to have a lot of guys in there. It can get hectic at times when everybody's all like bunched up and a lot of things are going on, but it's really helpful for info sharing and stuff like that. So we'll definitely be able to use it to our advantage this season.
I mean, John, speaking about this season, it's going to be a quick, only 3 races before our first big break of the season. We have Atlanta '08 and Phoenix being the next 2 before we've got our Thanksgiving break. What are you hoping to grab from these first couple of races ahead of us before we have our holidays?
Yeah, it's kind of fun that I don't think really any of us run this car that consistently. So I feel like it's kind of like when we started the Gen 4 the first time a few seasons ago. I mean, we were all just trying to figure it out. And I feel like this car, I mean, it's not a completely new car, it's just an updated version of the Gen 4. So a lot of those characteristics do kind of transfer over between cars. But obviously, I just want to try to be on that front foot to get some early wins and just kind of stay one step ahead as everybody else tries to figure this car out. I think we can do that. We're going to some really good tracks, Atlanta '08. I mean, just another great worn out surface that'll really test the skill of everybody and just kind of give a lot of information on what the car does and stuff. I mean, there's not many tracks that wear tires like that place does. And then Phoenix, kind of a short track vibe. Not sure if it's the new or the old version. We'll see on that, see how the thing bottoms out or if there's grass down there. But yeah, another great track. Just kind of feel it out. Just different type of style. So yeah, like I said, just trying to get as much information as I can early on and just staying ahead of the competition throughout the season.
Well, it looks like on our end, it is going to be the newer configuration with that open dog leg. But based off of what we're seeing right now, it could change. We'll see how the weeks go on. But John, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, Scott, I think all the teammates of Lucky Ducks, John Peel for getting us on the team. It's been kind of a work in progress. For the Nightmare Fuel stuff, he kind of missed out on getting me on the team. So now we've been able to get that partnership together. So it's really cool to be able to represent some cool sponsors and stuff he's got going, like Sanford Cancer on board, Call Chassis, with Donors Choose. I mean, all the great brands that stay on board with Lucky Ducks. And it was great to have an awesome first run for them. We're going to keep continuing that this season.
Well, John, congratulations once again on a top 3 finish. Come away second here tonight. We can't wait to see how this whole season comes together for you. Enjoy this finish and good luck next week at Atlanta.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move along from second place, we go down to third. We get to talk to Ryan Kelly's teammate that did the best defensive moves that he could to help that 3 get into victory lane. Larry, it's Sam and Richard up in the booth. You come away third here tonight. You were running second for majority of the evening. How are you feeling coming away with a top 3 at the end of this race?
Oh, feeling great. Anytime you go to a play track, you feel like you'll probably just end up on your roof and be in a garage. But to come out of the first race once again, top 3 is pretty nice.
Yeah, fantastic showing for you guys up front with Cody Glencock's music. Coming on board as the official team name also, moving away from Yin Yang Racing. So it's great to see you guys moving on, getting a more better sponsor behind you guys, sorry. But yeah, what was your guys' plan for that race? I mean, you guys did a fantastic job. You kind of put on a textbook show of how to run this car in the draft style track. So what was your guys' plan going into that last green flag run?
Well, for the whole race, the first run, the tires felt pretty good, so we just took 2, and I'm presuming us 4 or 5 are the only ones that took 2 at that point. So we just pulled away, and the second pit stop we considered taking 4 because we had such an advantage. just in case if there's a green white checker or something, we had more tires. But I wanted the 2 tires again. It gave us the lead, that big gap first, and took 2 again. And we pulled away more than we pulled away a lot. And coming to 15 or 20 to go, I saw we're closing on some pack ahead of us, about 10 seconds ahead, and we're about 8/10 a lap faster. And it looked like we were going to catch them with 1, 2, maybe 3 to go. So I made sure keep telling Ryan to back off a little bit. That way we don't keep catching them. And then once it looked like we were good to go to not catch the pack, we had to keep backing off because John and Jarrett behind us were laying back. I don't know if they were meaning to or just kept getting pushed back. I'm glad it worked out.
Glad it worked out for you, Larry, as well. You know, we look back at last season. Sadly, you went winless. You weren't able to get into victory lane, but you were tied with the most top 10s with Gavin Rogers and John Forbes. What are your hopes for this season for yourself? Assuming you're going for championships number 1, you'd love to get some wins, but what else are you looking for in season 12 in this new machine?
Really, just consistency in the top 5. I'm fairly, at least on paper. On paper, I'm pretty good top 10 wise, but top 5. Sometimes I just need strategy getting there, or sometimes I'm top 5 the whole race and something happens. Just need to figure out whatever I'm missing, and hopefully the Gen 4 fits me perfectly.
Well, we hope to see that as well for you, Larry. It was great to watch you and your teammates dominate most of this race. Congratulations on a top 3. And before we let you go, the floor's now yours for any other shout outs.
Definitely shout out all my teammates this race: Ryan Kelly, Chris Stitz, and Brian McCann, along with Kevin Hashbrown on the box. And thanks to my sponsors, Cody Glencock's Music and Port City Cards on Instagram. And shout out to you guys. I know it wasn't a great race to broadcast, I would think, looking at the relative to the whole race. But I'm sure you guys did a pretty good job.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. It was a blast to watch there at the end with all the moves that are being made. But congratulations on 3rd. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Atlanta.
Thank you, sir.
As that will finish up our interviews here tonight, talking to our top 3. We'll take a look at our unofficial results here this evening, as Ryan Kelly taking the victory for himself. His last win was all the way back in May when he found himself into victory lane. He hopes to continue with his winning ways here as we are now into the Gen 4s, and what a start to this race. The top 5 so just blitzing away from the rest of the field, with Kelly, Forbes, Larry Yingling, Jared Talmadge, and Brian McCann being your top 5. Then we have to fall almost 16 seconds back, where we find Vincent Sora and Zach Hall, Joshua Kanata, Jake Nichols. It's 24 seconds back, but I think Nichols is going to be a driver to watch out for next week, with Thomas Green finishing out our top 10. I mean, they're in 11th. This is a driver that won the championship, but I mean, how demoralized do you think the field's feeling, Richard, as we continue to look at the rest of the field?
I mean, I think a lot of guys are kind of a little shocked by how this package affected when you got out of line out of the draft. It's like a parachute just kind of thrown out the back of the car and just slowed the car down instantly. So I don't think a lot of drivers were expecting that. So it's hard to walk away from this demoralized by any means. It's typical super speedway racing, and especially when you stay green flag. I mean, green flag pit stops are huge when it comes to that, but it's just a class shot there from the top 5. They just knew exactly how to run these cars. They were able to adapt a lot quicker and a lot better than a lot of the other drivers. They knew to pull off that wall, about, like I said, about a lane away from the wall to be able to get more speed. So just the adaptability from those 5 was what really helped them pull away from the rest of the field.
Adapt, evolve, and that is race number 1 in the books for season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Well, that's the end of this week, but we will be back next week for more racing action, as we've got our 2 series that we cover. It's fun to be back to giving 2 races, as we've got the Trinity Racing League on Monday night with the Xfinity car. They've got just 2 races left before they crown a champion, and John Forbes is not able to run in that league. Instead, it's Vincent Sora that is the dominant driver, trying to go for the first win in that inaugural season for the championship. but he needs to be picture perfect for 2 more races. Auto Club is their next destination on Monday night. Then for us here on Wednesdays, we are heading to Atlanta 08, the wear and tear hot Atlanta course. The drivers know you got to protect your tires, but you got to also keep track position. How do you balance? Well, we'll find that out next week. Cannot wait for it. But Richard, before we call it a night, any final thoughts from your side?
Next week's going to be another old surface racetrack, very bumpy there also Atlanta. It's going to be who can maintain those tires, and we'll have to see which drivers are going to be able to handle these cars as we're going to an actual typical style stock car racing track. So it's going to be an exciting race to watch next Tuesday.
It certainly will be. Based off the rumors, there's going to be a lot of seesawing on those wheels just to keep the car pointing straight at its maximum pace. But for tonight, I want to say thank you also to the sponsors of Elwood Designs, Lucky Duck Motorsports, Sim Precision Prints, GTR Simulators, and Trophy Smack for partnering up with the WSSR Cup Series for Season 12. As well as we want to say thank you to all of you for joining with us on your Wednesday night. As for us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you. As for myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, and for Robert Moyer Jr., thank you for spending your evening here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs, Season 12, Race 1 is in the books. Ryan Kelly is your first victor of the season. Who can challenge him? We'll have to find out next week at Hot Atlanta. But if you can't wait until then, well, guess what? We got racing action Monday night. Xfinity cars at Auto Club, the second to last race of the Trinity League Season 1. You don't want to miss it, as the drivers will be going 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 wide. You'll have to find out Monday night for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.